What's up, everybody, and welcome to Advice from the Ice. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Rose, and we are here to talk to you today about how to stay consistent when you're on your own.
Awesome. Yes, because we all know that personal accountability can be a challenge. It was for me. I really needed to make a routine to really be able to challenge myself to stick to that routine.
Yeah, it's really hard when you're the only one in your circle who's doing it because again, like we all have the people who are like, "Well, I could never do that," or "Well, you're crazy. Like, why would you willingly get in cold water?" Da, 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 da. And it's really easy to fall victim to other people's limiting beliefs with anything, but especially with cold therapy.
Absolutely. And so when you're getting that outside noise, it really stuns us from moving forward and getting things done that we really want to do. So I think setting a clear goal in the beginning is a valuable first step in your journey of staying consistent in cold therapy.
Yeah, for sure. We talk about, knowing your goals so you know where to start as far as temperature and time and whatnot, but it's super important just to have them beyond that, just to be able to stick with it, right? Anytime we have a goal, it's a lot easier to do the things, the hard things, especially to get to that goal, than if we're just doing it to do it.
Yeah, setting goals can be for anything, but in this case, we'll stick to the ice baths as the example, but it can really help you in all areas of your life. So, what is it you guys want to achieve? Is it improve recovery, mental toughness? Just write them down and put it somewhere visible, your home screen, your mirror in the morning, someplace that you see it every day, because that'll keep you more accountable.
For sure. And then just like anything else, right? Create a routine. So maybe you don't have a fancy setup and it's just your shower. So, commit to 2 minutes of cold water at the end of your shower. Or just, maybe schedule that cold shower right before you work out. Or pair it with an existing habit, such as workouts, right? So you get in, you do your cold shower, and then you go to the gym. And then maybe after the gym, you do a second one. Anything like that to create that routine will definitely help you stick to your goals.
And if you need to begin with shorter durations, that's totally fine. Listen to your body, but you want to challenge yourself with that fight or flight response and stay the full 2 minutes, which is a suggested amount of time to get all the benefits from cold therapy. But you don't want to overwhelm yourself because that can tend to make a person not want to continue on whatever it is they're doing. And in this case,
Yeah.
cold therapy.
Yeah, especially when you're starting out, track the next couple of days. Like, how did you feel right afterwards? How did you feel the next morning? How did you feel throughout the day, right? Some people feel amazing. Some people, if they're already having stress on their body from medical issues or whatnot, maybe they'll feel really good the day of, they'll feel really bad the day after, but then the day after that, they're feeling great. So, really keep an eye on it. Let your body tell you what it's doing, and, realize that if you do have something serious going on with your body, it might take you longer to recover and you might feel like crap the first couple of days. But again, if you're tracking it and you can see a consistent arc of getting better and it continues after each cold therapy session, and especially if you're seeing shortened healing time from or recovery time from the ice, it can really be beneficial.
Yeah, and don't get discouraged if you had your routine set up to get in the cold shower, cold tub in the mornings, but like Rose mentioned, it doesn't work out that way. Like your day is totally thrown off or you're sleepy or whatever. Then the next day, change up your routine, put it in the middle of the day, see what that does. And it's all trial and error, but just because one way doesn't work out doesn't mean you just completely quit. Be adaptable and try other times of the day or durations, things like that. You have to be open to change and trying things out, especially in this.
Yes. And then focus on the benefits, right? So those are different for everybody. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of science out there behind, what ice therapy does. But as far as physical and mental benefits, we all experience them differently. So, like for me, the physical benefit is I don't have nerve damage flare ups. And the mental benefits are, according to my watch, I'm never stressed. Because every time I do the stress level, it's like, yeah, you're good. You're not even, you're fine. But for others, maybe the physical is I don't hurt as much after a workout, or I'm training for a marathon and I can train harder because I'm not as sore afterwards. Just keep focusing on what those benefits are for you and how good you feel afterwards. Again, keep in mind that sometimes you might feel worse afterwards and then start to feel better. And just keep that in your brain so that when you're like, I don't want to do this, your brain triggers yeah, but it feels so good afterwards and you stay with it.
Yeah, I remember we'd always do that in the middle of the day. We're like, oh, I don't want to. But then having that accountability partner just made all the difference. And we remind each other, oh, it's going to feel good after. Like, we're going to be great. We're going to clear our mind and push on the rest with the rest of our day. And yeah, the benefits always outweigh the suck, because the suck is just it's cold and don't want to get wet, whatever. But there are millions of benefits that come from cold
Yeah.
therapy. Like, I'm just so grateful for it. Made me a lot mentally tougher, and I've noticed that, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. And that's why we started the journal too, right? It was because like you don't necessarily track that growth. Like so many people can track the physical because you can see the number on the scale go down, or you can, tell that your clothes are fitting more loosely and stuff like that. But so often it's, a year and a half into our journey, and then we're like, oh, like a year and a half ago, that would have triggered XYZ, but now it's not, right? But if we're tracking it daily, if we're tracking how it's making us feel from a mental and emotional standpoint, then it's a lot faster to see, like, oh, shoot, just in 2 months, like my mental resilience has gotten way better, or, my stress response has gotten way less. I'm not nearly as emotionally reactive, like things like that. And so it's super, super important to see those written down because we don't often think of them.
And part of the stress reduction, I believe, is because we're deep breathing when we get into the cold. And that practice comes out into real life. If you're at work, your boss or your coworker is pissing you off, if you just take a few, like 5 or 6 deep breaths, that can bring your stress down and you're back into a more relaxed state, which in turn makes you less reactive than you usually are.
And then, prepare mentally. So oftentimes we get stuck in the head of like, I can't do this, or this is going to be terrible, or anything like that. Visualize how you're going to feel afterwards. Visualize the win, right? It's for people who really think they can't do 2 minutes. Visualizing that win at 2 minutes could be what it takes. Practice, again, breathing before you enter the water. So our mantra really specifies, how to get into the cold water with your breath and your mantra together because it's super important. So often people hit the cold water, they start to hyperventilate, and then it can become a problem. There's also the opposite of that, where if you partner Wim Hof breathing with cold therapy and you're not necessarily doing it correctly or you're not used to it, it can cause real problems. So your breath is super important when it comes to just your practice in general.
But yeah, that's why I love Ice Wellness Challenge is the mantras, because it's really helpful to mentally prepare yourself to get into the cold no matter what. And then just the exercises, you want to warm up afterwards because you're cold. So the exercises are amazing way to warm up and feel good. And if you don't have a lot of time to go to the gym and exercise and stuff, just adding that little bit of time to your routine can make all the difference in your body, soul, spirit.
Yeah, for sure. And then, again, with that routine, like join online communities and social media groups that focus on cold exposure, right? So a couple of years ago, there were not a lot out there, which is why we originally started the first Facebook group that we started, which was the Ice Plunge and Cold Therapy Lovers. But then with Ice Wellness, we have a very specific private group that is exclusive only to challenge takers because we wanted to make sure that the people in the group understood what everybody else was going through, right? So you can compare notes. You can tell us what you like, what you don't like. But, maybe you're having a side effect that like we've never experienced, but somebody else in the group has. It gives you that ability to have the conversation without, getting the like, well, I told you you're crazy, or well, this article came out that has no science behind it, but it says cold baths are terrible, so you should stop. It gives you way more information accessibly. And again, you would join an equestrian group if you were into horses, right? Like you would join dog groups if you're into dogs. It's the same with cold therapy.
And cold therapy is still such a newer thing. I mean, it's been around forever, but the science and the studies are still fairly new. So if we all come together as a community and share experiences and what's going on, that can really help gain more of an understanding of this space. And it's an exciting space to be in when it's still so new.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully that helps some of you guys who are either looking at cold therapy and haven't started yet, or have started but are getting a little frustrated with, again, the people in your life not necessarily supporting it. I know I personally live with someone who thinks I'm absolutely crazy and who will never try it, even though I know all the benefits that they would experience, and I've told them multiple times. So we get it. We know it can be difficult. And that's kind of what prompted Ice Wellness, the journal, and the challenge, was just helping others get clarity and really expand their practice. There's a lot of one-dimensional information being put out there on cold therapy of just like, yeah, just do it, do what Wim Hof does, or do what Huberman does, or whatever. But ice therapy, just like diet, exercise, any of it, is three-dimensional, and we need to start treating it that way and understand that it's going to be different for everybody.
Your body, your practice.
Yes. So we will link to the free challenge. We call them 30-day challenges because we do a new mantra every 30 days, because otherwise it would get boring. And then same for the workouts, right? You don't want your body to adapt. In the same way, you don't want to get cold adapted. So the challenge does not mean do it every day for 30 days. The challenge means do the mantra, do the workouts, track it, and see how it goes.
Yeah, play around with your routine, see what works for you and doesn't work for you. I mean, I don't do them every day.
I will do streaks, but I have to take breaks because I don't want to become cold adapted. So, sometimes I'll do every day for 3 months, and then I'll take a couple days off.
And start posting your experience in our private Facebook group once you're enrolled.
Yes.